Hello guys, welcome and thank you for joining me on this very tutorial. My name is Peterson and I'll be the instructor for this very short tutorial. Okay, so what are we going to be doing today? We're going to be building a PHP form validation. Not the one you know before, but we're going to be using a composer packager, also available on, even though you don't use composer, you can as well download it and use the class itself. So if you do not use Composer in your project, this is what you're gonna do. There's the link, and I'm gonna drop it on the comment section or description, sorry, below, so you can be able to use it. So just head over to the link, click on this code and download it. After downloading, go to the source code, and this is the only file you need in your PHP project. So for those using the Composer, you know how to do this already. Just grab this, and that's all. So I want to head into my VS Code, and this is my project directory empty. So I want to move it down here and okay. Okay, so let's create a file and create a file called index.php, and let's quickly create a PHP blocks. Great. So I want to open up my terminal and my command line, sure, and just let's start installing that. So as we wait for it to download, I want to include the file. So I want to include the file, definitely our autoloader inside the vendor. Okay, so I want to use the directory. Let's use the directory path vendors slash autoloader.php. I think we're correct. And first of all, I think I should just move this browser side by side, so we're good to go. So it should be side by side. I want to click this go live now so I can go live. And okay, let me take this a bit so we can navigate to our project directory from validation. So think everything is good now. We're good to go. And let's just start with let's call the class because we already have it now, so it's going to be new slash ultimate validator slash ultimate validator. Sorry, let me fold this guy, yeah, so it's more better now. So we're good to go. So I'm gonna save that and let's van dump the form variable. Let's van dump the form variable. Okay, so we have some errors here and say too few arguments. So definitely, yeah, there should be some errors. So if you read about, you just go here and read all through the README file, and it's pretty easy, self-explanatory. So here we have how to instantiate the class, and we have two parameters when calling it. The first one is the parameter, which is an array. The second one, type of string. And the array type, you can see the post and get, and the second type is post and get as well. So by default, if you do not pass the second parameter, it assumes it's using the get method. So here, let's just use it's using the post method. Sorry, here's a post method. So I want to use get here, and definitely I want to pass get as well. So now we're good to go. So for the sake of those that are using the code without composer, so it's basically the same thing. If you go down here, you're gonna see explanation for that as well, PHP direct. So it's basically the same thing. So let me just do that now so you see what I mean. Inside the sucks, just gonna copy and paste right here. So we're good to go now. So let's duplicate these and comment one out. So the directory is gonna be same thing, ultimate uploader.php. So if I save now, I think there is an error. Okay, it should be slash. Okay, now you see we've arrived the same place. Absolutely the same thing. Okay, so let's get back to where we were. And then so let's start our form handling. First of all, I think we need a few file, no HTML for us now. And there's a sample code here inside the text directory. You can just grab this. I want to grab the HTML. Okay, I'm gonna grab HTML and paste right here. So I want to go back. I want to grab this style. We have a little bit of style here. I want to grab the style because when you go down, you can see the style and beautiful at all. So let's create a file called style.css and paste down here. So we're done. So on reloading, it should be working. Okay, it should be working. So we're good to go now. And now we can submit. So if you head over to view source code, you're going to see two properties which are made public, which is the parameter and type property. If you can see the rest, you can see by here it said private, and we cannot access them. We only have access to the message and param. And the message shows error messages, while the param shows whatever you filled. So we can close this guy now and let's start our coding. It's pretty straightforward. So the first one, you need to call the submit method. So I want to do something like this. I want to say form submit method. And now it's going to give us an error as well. Say too few argument. So for this, if you read through it, the function is expected, in the argument. So these are the arguments, sorry, the data, we have the alert type, the before and the after. So the data is an array, then, we're expected to give an array. So now we're good to go. And that array shows the configuration of how we want to receive our form errors. And now if you see here, you can see we have name, email, and age. So pretty straightforward. Three form elements we want to validate. So now there's going to be an associative array. There's going to be an associative array of name. And then you can just say name is required. Sorry for that. Name is required. So I want to duplicate this. Say please enter valid email address, and the second one, let's just say age is required as well. So this, I'm gonna say this is an email, the name is email, but right here we're gonna have some error. If you check it, you're gonna see the message says configuration error indicated, type pass not valid. So if you go here, you see how we pass it. So the first one is the flag, followed by colon, and the HTML input name, followed by colon and operator if you need any operator. So I'm going to show you how we use that. So the first one is the flag. The flag, if you go down here, you're going to see all the flags we have. So we have email, bool, string, array, float, integer, and URL. And this is a shortcut. You can pass E as email, bool, and so on, etc. So here, I'm going to say string and then colon, okay? Then this, I'm going to say we need an email and colon, or I can just use E, which represent email as well. So for the sake, let's just use the full name. So integer is an age. So we're good to go now, but we don't want to always show this, and that will take us to a second step of error handling. If you should check this now, you see the name is required and the message. So let's go to the error handling. If you just go up here and you click all this, it's gonna take you to wherever you're going for. So this is the error handling, and we're there. So you see, it's a method, a public method we can use, and we'll say error. So this is also gonna give us an error because you can see the parameter says a callable function as a param. So it's gonna give us an error. So we need to pass in a function here, and there we go. So we now have access to this form over here. So if I should do this, okay, let's take this form here and save. It's gonna give us an error and say undefined variable. because this variable here and this variable are totally different. The only way we can get this access to the form variable is to use a super globus. You should understand this. And now we have access to it, but I do not want to use this. So what we can do now is when calling this function, we need to pass in a parameter like so, and a name. You can give it any name you want, error, any name at all. So now we have access to the same thing here, which is more better, preferable, and advisable. So you remember I told you earlier on we have access to the param and the message only. So now I want to do message. The message not spelled correctly, so I want to do message, and now we're good to go. We're finally there. Okay, so when it's been submitted, this name is required. And if I should over up, let's just clean this. And now, when you go to the page, definitely no formats were submitted, right? And okay, we're good to go. Name is required, but let's format the error message. So under the demo, let's quickly do this. So let's do this. Associative array. So the first one will be MSG, stands for message. You set it to an empty, and the second one is class, and definitely we set to empty as well. So what we're gonna do now is we want to say globals this and the message MSG. So we want to set to the response message. And now the class, want to do the same thing with the class. And now this should be the class of danger. And if I should save, it's not coming, definitely. Let's see what we have here. If there's an error. Okay. Okay, globers. So error handler, message, and class. Except we're not linking the style well. So let's see STY. Okay, this is danger. Okay, the class is danger and the message is this. So everything should be working fine. Okay, so let's see what we have here. Think the globers. So we have access to this guy. Let's see MSG, and this is the class. Okay, the class is the block. Yeah, we needed to add that the block, because by default it's set to null in the CSS if you check it, but we're now focusing on that now. By default it's set to null. So there's an error message by default null, and this is the block. Okay, so we're good to go now. And you can see that it's giving us one error message at a time. So let's go back here, not the error now. So we're still in this submit section. You can see the first one we're done with it, which is the array. The second one is the alert type. By default is set to false. So if we turn this to true now, let's get back here and see. You're gonna see it's returning all the errors possible. We've already passed in the name, so let's remove the name now. We have all the errors. Okay, so we're good to go. So whatever you want, if it's one error at a time or all the errors at a time, you can do just that. And now let's pass in some second validation. And now I want to pass in the operation. I want to use the operator now. So I want to say if the name is less than 5 characters, then we're gonna say name should be more than 5 characters. Let's save that. So one error at a time. How the errors work, it reads from top to the bottom here. And then I want to do something with the age. I will say if the age, if it's less than 16. So you see, you need to put column. If you read through the documentation, you're going to see flag column, the input name column, and the operator, which is the end. So if it's less than 16, I want to say something like, sorry, you must be 16 and going to use the size. So something like that. Let's get back. So if I click, we're doing fine. And now let's set the name to something like this, 3 letters, and you can see the name should be more than 5 characters. So I'm going to do something like that. And now we have the email at mailer dot, not correct, .com. Then we're good. Then the name, if we should type in some string, age is required because we've not passed in anything. The validation here says an integer, so it requires an integer. So what we're going to do here is to pass 2, and now we have the second error. We say, sorry, you must be 16 years and above to use the site. And now if I should pass in 21, and then we're good. So now we don't have the success message because here is not going to run anymore. There is no more error, so that lands us to the final stage, which is the success message. And if you see, it's still the same thing. All are shareable methods. And now, definitely we should be passing same thing as the error here. And let me just copy all of this code and paste here. So this is gonna be success, and the message, the message now is gonna be empty because okay, it says undefined variable response, definitely because we've not passed in any variable here. So we're good to go now, but the message is gonna be empty because the error message is empty now. So let's just say successful. And here we go. We're good. So one other thing I want to use now, there's another public method, sorry. There's another public method called echo JSON. Echo JSON, that is for JSON object, and it requires 2 parameters. If I should save now, it's going to throw up an error. The first parameter is just the response code, and the second parameter is the message. It says again, and now is the message. So this is the JSON error. Just in case if you're using your normal Ajax to send requests to this handler, then you may want to use this instead of coding some response handler again. So this is just cute and nice. So let's turn this to false, and there are some other things we want to put here. If you go back, you're gonna see we've done the data type handling, which is this array, and the allowed type, which is this. And just as the name says, before is set and after is set. So let's pass in some function and let's test how that works. So this is the before is set, and let's pass in another function, and after is set. Okay, before it's set, definitely before the form is being submitted, and this after it's set is after is after the form has been submitted, when it has been clicked, either successful or error. As long as you submit the form, the after is set function is going to run, and before it's set is going to run as well. So if I should paste this in and say before is set, and that definitely means we're going to go back and clean this up and click. So you're going to see before is set. So let me go back. So now before is set, after is set. So I want to remove all those because I don't really need it. True. Okay, guys. So this is all for this tutorial, and I hope you enjoyed. See you soon.